Hi everybody, this is Dr. Hamid with your Math 120 College Mathematics class. Today we'll talk about section 8.3, which is about simple interest calculations. Now in this section, which is about simple interest calculations, we will start our lecture with the basics, terminology and few definitions. Then we'll learn how to calculate simple interest in different situations, and then we'll move a step forward and extend this formula to calculate the future value of a given investment. And then we will also look at few situations of real life situations where we will calculate simple interest and future value situations. Okay, let's start with the a few basic definitions which involve the simple interest calculations. First of all is called the principal. Okay, it is the amount of money that we deposit or borrow is called the principal. Okay, so principal is that amount what we start with, the original money. Okay, if you want to calculate some interest in a savings account, then the principal is the amount which we started with. Okay, which we first put into the bank. Or if you want to calculate the interest on your loan, so this is the amount of money we borrowed, so that's called principal. We'll represent it by P, capital P, in our calculations. Okay, so that's principal. Next thing is interest. So it is the dollar amount that we get paid for lending money, or pay for borrowing money. So this is called interest. And when we talk about interest, there is some rate, how much interest. Okay, so that's the rate. Interest rate is the amount of interest depending upon the principal. It's called the interest rate. Okay, and it is always given in terms of percentage. So it can be 1%, 2%, 3%, 10%, whatever it is. Okay, so that's the interest rate. And in this section we'll talk about simple interest. Simple interest is basically calculated only using the original amount. Okay, you do not worry about, for example, if you invest 1000 at a for 10 years, after 1 year it will become, let's say, 1100, but you do not calculate on 1100. You only calculate the interest on 1000, the original amount, whatever you invested. You do not worry about the accumulated interest. If you also include the accumulated interest, that's a compound interest formula, which we will talk about in next section. Okay, so we will talk about simple interest, and this is the main topic of this section. Okay, simple interest calculations. So to calculate simple interest on a given account, we will use this formula. The formula says that the interest is equal to principal, the original amount what you started with, multiplied by the interest rate, okay, whatever the rate you and the bank decided, and time. Okay, and if I write it in mathematics terms, it is I for interest is equal to PRT. Okay, so this is the formula. We'll multiply three things: time, rate, and the original amount. Okay, now R here is, as you know, it's the rate, and it is normally given in terms of percentage. But when we apply this formula, we will use its decimal equivalent. Okay, we will not use percentage as it is. If it is whatever the decimal, whatever the percentage is, its decimal equivalent, we'll convert it into the decimals, then we will use it into this formula. Okay, P here, it stands for P stands for the principal, as I already told you, and it is the amount we start with. T here is time, and it must be in years. If time is not in years, you must convert it into years before you apply this formula. For example, if it is instead of 2 years, 6 years, 7 years, if they give you 6 months, okay, you must first convert it by dividing by 12. Okay, so to get years. So if you have 6 months, that means half a year. Okay, so T will be half, and it has to be in years. And this is the formula which we will use to calculate you know uh, interest accrued on a savings account, or we can also use it for the loan. Okay, so this formula can be used for both interest calculations and loan calculations, the same thing. Okay, so if you're talking about savings account, this will be the amount you started with. If you're talking about interest, this will be the amount you borrowed. Okay. Let's look at this one example in which we will see how to calculate simple interest. Suppose you deposit $2,000 in a savings account, in a bank, which has a rate of 6%. Find the interest at the end of the first year. Okay, so here this will be our P. Okay, this is our R. Since it's 6%, we'll move the decimal to two places to the left, so it will be 0.06. Okay, R. And since our time is 1 year, so it will be T is equal to 1. Okay, so get the important information, write it down. P is equal to this, R is equal to this, T is equal to this. We know the formula is I equal to PRT. That means multiply principal times the interest rate times the time. Okay, and it comes out to be 120. So at the end of the first year, if you deposit $2,000 into a saving account, you will get, your interest will be $120. Okay, it will be added to your account, $120. That's it. That was the simplest example of simple interest calculation. Okay, let's look at one more. Suppose, so this is the same formula, but this time we'll apply it to calculate the interest on a loan. Suppose a student took out a loan of $1,800 for 2 years, and at the rate of 8% per year, okay, to purchase a used car. Again, find the interest on this loan. So this time P is 1,800, T is 2 years, and the rate is R is equal to 0.08. Okay, so get all the information again. This is your P, this is R, this is T here. Same formula, I is equal to PRT. Multiply three things together and you get 288. Okay, so the interest on the loan is $288. That's it. Okay, simple problem, simple calculation. All are based upon one formula, which is interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's move forward. The next thing we are going to talk about is we'll extend this formula little bit more, one step further, okay, to calculate the future value. So what is the future value? If you start with $1,000, okay, so how much it will turn into after 5 years? So that's called the future value. So basically what it will be principal, okay, what you started with, plus the interest earned. So all together will be a future value. That's it. Okay, so a future value we represented by A of P dollars at a simple interest rate of R for T years is given by this formula here. Okay, so A is equal to P into 1 plus RT parenthesis. If I expand it out, you see that it is, so this is just I is equal to PRT, and this is what you started with originally. Okay, so our future value will be the original amount we started with plus the interest earned. All together, if you add those two, that will give you the future value. Okay, so P here is the present value that you started with. A is the future value accumulated, or future value, and A is the sum of the original plus the interest earned. Okay, so this is the simplified form of the formula which we will use. This is just for you explanation. So let's look at an example here, how to calculate a future value. Suppose a loan of $1,060 has been made at 6.5 at a rate of 6.5 for 3 months. So find the loan's future value. Okay, so let's write down all the variables involved here. This is your P, this is your R, and this is your time, 3 months. Okay, so this is tricky this time here. This is this is okay. This you have to convert into decimals, and 3 months we have to convert it into years. Okay, so P is 1060, R is 0.05, 0.065. Okay, time is 3 months, and then you have to convert it into years by dividing by 12. So 3 over 12 is basically 1 over 4 of a year. So time T is equal to 1 over 4, or 0.25. This is your time. Okay, so apply the formula for the future value. A is equal to P into 1 plus RT. Put the value of P, which is 1060. 1 is 1, R is 0.065 right there, times 0.025 is the time. Okay, so if you multiply these two, add into 1 and then multiply with 1060, you end up with $1,077.23. This is your future value. Okay, so if you borrow 1060, okay, at the rate of 6.5%, then after 3 months you will owe 1070.23. Okay, this is the simple value calculation, simple future value calculations. Now this is an example in which we will use the same formula, but instead of finding the interest earned, we will find the interest rate. Okay, so let's say, suppose you borrow $2,500 from a friend and promise to pay back 2655 after 6 months. Okay, now the question is, what is the interest rate? What is the interest you pay? Okay, what is the R basically? uh, so if you write down all the information here, this is the accumulated value, which is 2655. P, the what you started with, P is the 2500. Time is 6 months, so it is 1/2 of T. Okay, we have to find R. Same formula, A is equal to P into 1 plus RT here. Okay, we do not have R, we have A, we have P, we have T. Plug everything in there. Okay, work your way out, and then you see that R is running around, R is running around, R is running. That's what our unknown here. We want to find R. Okay, so when you divide 1250 by 1250 on both sides, R comes out to be 12.4%. So this is the interest rate you are paying him. If you borrow 2500 and pay 2655, this is your interest rate. Okay, that's it. A simple section. A whole section is based upon two formulas. One is the simple interest calculations, and the second one is the future value. Okay, all the problems are very simple. Please try those problems. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you. Bye bye.